Are you an NFT artist or seller? If so, you may know that sales taxes and VAT taxes may apply to your NFT sales. The problem is the majority of industry participants are unaware of this and are not properly collecting and remitting VAT taxes and sales taxes. In this video, I'm going to go over what countries currently apply VAT taxes to NFT sales and go over the tax guidance related to this on a country by country basis. The first country that applied VAT taxes to the sales of NFTs was Spain. Spain was the first country to really delineate guidance for this. In their guidance, I'd like to go over this in a completely separate video because it is fairly thorough and it outlines what type of NFTs will have VAT taxes applied to it and when these VAT taxes will apply. The big thing to keep in mind is if you're selling NFTs in Spain or to residents in Spain, you need to consider the VAT tax implications associated with this. The next country that we've seen apply VAT taxes to NFTs is Belgium. Belgium considers NFTs a supply of service and applies a 21% VAT tax to NFT sales. If you're selling NFTs from this country or to residents in this country, we need to carefully consider the VAT tax implications associated with that sale. Another country that applies GST taxes, which is the form of sales taxes or VAT taxes within that specific country, is Australia. They've ruled that GST taxes apply to NFTs. So this is another country that if you're selling within this country or if you're selling to residents that live in this country, we need to consider VAT tax implications associated with those sales. Switzerland considers NFTs to be digital services, and just like other digital services, taxes will apply on the sales of NFTs here as well. New Zealand is another state that considers NFTs digital products and therefore applies sales taxes to them at a rate of 15%. So New Zealand is another state, if we're selling to residents in that state or if we're selling NFTs out of New Zealand, we need to consider the tax implications associated with this sale and be sure not to overlook this. Now, currently, we're still waiting for guidance from the European Union, which I anticipate to be fairly substantial. They're currently working on a working paper related to when VAT taxes will apply to NFTs, and they're going to apply this on a case-by-case basis. So there's going to be detailed guidance that comes out of the European Union that we're going to be able to look towards shortly. Right now, this is in the phase of being drafted, and this is something that we're going to keep an eye on. So to summarize here, I basically created a chart that I'm going to also post on my website, and it'll go over what countries do we currently have guidance in, what are the tax rates, and just some basic details related to that. So we have Belgium at 21%. NFTs are subject to VAT as a service. Spain, 21%. NFTs are also subject to VAT as a service. Norway, 22%. NFTs are subject to VAT as an asset. Australia, 10%. NFTs are subject to GSTs as goods. Switzerland, NFTs are subject to VAT as a digital service. Of course, we have all of the states, including Washington. I'm not going to go into details on those because I've done separate videos on those, and I want this video to remain internationally focused. As I also stated, we have New Zealand, 15%. NFTs are subject to GST as a digital product. And then we have the EU. The EU hasn't given guidance yet. The VAT tax in the EU is likely going to be 20%. And NFTs are likely going to be classified as both services and goods depending on the underlying nature of that specific NFT. And the taxes in the EU are likely also going to take this approach to looking at the underlying transaction and the underlying nature of the NFT. Now, we haven't seen guidance there yet, so we still are pending further guidance from them, but this is my anticipation here. So what are some of the challenges associated with properly collecting and remitting VAT taxes? Firstly, we need to select the right jurisdiction for the taxability of the sale. And this can get fairly complicated with cross-border transactions where we're selling from one country and we're selling to another country. We're going to do whole separate videos on how to determine which country you actually should be sourcing the sale from. But largely when it comes to VAT taxes, it's going to depend on how the NFT is classified as a good or a service and which countries the sale is taking place between. Then we'll determine which country should the sale actually be taxable in. This is very important because as a first step to compliance, we need to be having the sale be taxed within the right tax jurisdiction, or we're just going to have compliance issues based off of that. Taking this point a step further, if we consider the current nature of NFTs and blockchain, there's a certain element of perceived anonymity, which really is more pseudonymity, but basically people are not very inclined right now to associate an identity with their wallet addresses, so especially non-custodial wallets that aren't on centralized exchanges. So in order for us to be able to source these sales properly and apply the correct tax rates and get into compliance from a VAT and a sales tax perspective, we're going to have to collect the customer's address at the point of mint or at the point of sale in order to even begin the first step of determining the tax jurisdiction and the taxability of the transaction. So this is a huge challenge because it's going to be something that has to change within our industry, and it's completely necessary because we're not going to be able to sell NFTs or buy them in a compliant manner without doing this. Are you an NFT seller or artist who is trying to navigate the complex world of NFT sales taxes and VAT taxes? If so, you've probably realized that you need an automated sales tax software solution to do this. The problem is, before Digital Impost, there hasn't been any sales tax softwares that are native to blockchain, Web3, and NFTs. This is what Digital Impost provides. We're an end-to-end solution for Web3 companies selling NFTs, transacting in digital assets that need to properly collect and remit sales taxes across tax jurisdictions. From collecting your customers' information in order to calculate the correct tax rate to apply to them, quoting that to them in their native cryptocurrency, and then collecting all of the relevant information from the sale, from the customer, and from the blockchain for reporting purposes to the various tax jurisdictions on the back end is what Digital Impost can provide to you and your team. If you need to get into NFT sales tax compliance or NFT VAT tax compliance, or both, contact me and my team today at digitalimpost.com.